Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be doing the comparison between the new Redmi 6 Pro and the Asus Zenfone Max Pro. And the pricing of these two devices is actually very similar. The entry level of this Redmi 6 Pro is 11,000, and that's the same case even with this Zenfone Max Pro. And in fact, I have this is the 3GB RAM variant of the Zenfone Max Pro that is selling for 11,000, and this is the 4GB RAM variant that is for 13,000. But again, I don't have the 3GB RAM variant, so I'll be comparing it with this one, and I'll make a practical comparison. And yes, I will also be doing a side-by-side comparison with the cameras, because many of you want to know if the camera is actually a huge improvement on this Redmi 6 Pro. So let's get into the comparison and see which one is a better device. So guys, here are the two devices. This is the Redmi 6 Pro and this is the Asus Zenfone Max Pro. And immediately you'll notice that the size difference is there. This one is having a 5.8 inch Full HD screen, and this is having a 5.99, so almost a 6-inch screen. And as you can see, it's a difference again. So yeah, this is slightly larger in size compared to this one. And again, I'll also show you the camera samples later on. But let's first talk about the processor used. Though they are calling this Redmi 6 as a Pro device, but Xiaomi decided to use the Snapdragon 625 SoC, which is almost now will be 2 years old, and it's actually a pretty old processor now, whereas Asus is using the new Snapdragon 636 SoC, which has the more powerful cryo cores. In fact, to give you a very rough idea, I don't believe too much in benchmarks, but I did run benchmarks on both these devices. So let's just run Antutu. I had run it earlier, and this will show you the benchmark score results. And as you can see, this one got a score of 78,000 and this one got a score of 1,15,000. So almost roughly about 50% faster. The processor on this Zenfone Max Pro is almost 50% faster. So that is a huge thing in my frank opinion. And also due to this new processor that is used on this Zenfone, this one supports that true dual 4G and true dual VoLTE support, which is actually not present on this one because of the old processor that they have used. Now moving to another thing is that let's check the fingerprint scanner on this one. And as you can see, it's actually really fast on this Redmi 6 Pro. So certainly a very fast fingerprint scanner. And I have applied the latest update on both these devices. And let's check the fingerprint scanner on this one. And as you can see, it's not bad, but definitely if I have to compare, I would say the Redmi 6 Pro fingerprint is faster. This has improved quite a bit, as you can see. But yeah, this is slightly more faster in terms of fingerprint sensor. Now moving to the battery, again, both of them will give you very good battery life. This one has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, and this one is actually having a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And in my regular testing, I would say this one was giving me easily about 1.5 days worth of battery life. But with the Asus Zenfone Max Pro, as this has that 5,000 milliamp hour battery, this will give you about 2 days worth of battery life. So definitely in terms of battery life, yes, this will go ahead. Also moving to the user interface, this, as you can see, is very close to stock Android interface that you are going to get. Left pane, you have that Google Now and all these things. So closer to stock Android, whereas as this is a Xiaomi device, this has the familiar MIUI interface that you're going to get. So that is something that you have to note. Again, I won't be a judge. Again, it comes down to personal preference. Some people prefer stock Android experience, and again, if you're okay with MIUI, this is the MIUI, but this is more closer to stock Android in this device. Now let's move to the most critical part. Both of them call themselves Pro, and both of them actually have this dual camera setup. In terms of camera, let's first talk about the Zenfone. This has a 13 megapixel main camera and a 5 megapixel depth camera for that bokeh and stuff. And the front facing camera is actually a 5 megapixel on this Zenfone Max Pro. Whereas on this Redmi 6 Pro, it's a 12 megapixel main camera and a 5 megapixel for the depth, and the front facing is also a 5 megapixel. So what I've done is I've taken a lot of sample shots side by side, so you can actually decide which one is better in terms of camera performance. So here are the pictures side by side. On the left we have the Zenfone Max Pro and on the right we have the Redmi 6 Pro. And in this picture, as you can see, I didn't find a huge difference between both the cameras. And this next picture is the macro close-up shot. And clearly I would say here I would give the vote to the Zenfone Max Pro. As you can see, the detail is definitely a lot more compared to the Redmi 6 Pro, where the image is sort of washed out. And here are samples of mine. Again, the backlighting is heavy, and as you can see, it was difficult for both the device, but clearly here I would give the edge to the Redmi 6 Pro in this particular picture. And here again similar situation, but I enabled the portrait mode in both the devices. But again, you guys be a judge. Another picture, and here I feel the Redmi 6 Pro did slightly better, but in terms of background bokeh blur, the Zenfone, as you can see, the background, it did blur a little bit more. Here another picture in my house, indoor lighting conditions, and again both of them are doing a good job. But in terms of the background blur, I would definitely say that the Zenfone Max Pro, look at the background, the bokeh effect is more pronounced with the Zenfone Max Pro. This is indoor low lighting sort of conditions, and here I would say both of them are sort of struggling. As you can see, both of them are actually a little bit soft, but again when we zoom up, the picture with the Redmi 6 Pro, as you can see, is not that good. It is just smoothing up the image, whereas the Zenfone, as you can see the face, it has definitely a lot more detail. Another picture in my office in low lighting conditions, and yes, both the phones are sort of struggling. But again, when we zoom up, again as you can see, the detail is definitely a little bit more on the Zenfone compared to the Redmi 6 Pro. Now moving to the front facing camera, one thing that I notice immediately is that the Zenfone captures the picture in wider mode compared to the Redmi. On the Redmi, as you can see, it's a lot more zoomed up. Similar situation, so if you have more people, definitely they can fit easily with the Zenfone compared to the Redmi 6 Pro. And both of them actually have the portrait mode, so I have enabled the portrait mode on both. And with the portrait mode, you have to be careful with the Redmi 6 Pro, as you can see, as it's prone to shake, whereas the Zenfone did a fine job even in the portrait mode with the front facing camera. To be blunt, both of them have sort of average front facing camera in my opinion. So as you saw with the comparison, definitely the Zenfone Max Pro has a far superior processor, and even in battery life it's better. But again, first let me talk about what are the good things about this Redmi 6 Pro. I would definitely say that this is a more compact device. So if you're a person who doesn't like slightly larger screen devices, this might be for you. And again, some people prefer the notch. So there is that notch on this one. Again, it's a personal preference. I don't prefer a device with notch. But again, if you are a person who prefers the notch, yes, the Redmi 6 Pro has that. And also in terms of fingerprint scanner, I would say this one is slightly faster compared to the Zenfone Max Pro. But now let's talk about what I like about the Zenfone Max Pro. Obviously, it has the more powerful processor, that's the Snapdragon 636. So it's an updated processor, almost 50% faster as we saw with the benchmark results. So definitely you're getting a faster processor that will help you last this device a lot longer. And obviously in terms of battery life, both of the devices are actually really good. But this one definitely, because it has that 5000 milliamp hour battery, will last a lot longer. And this is also closer to stock Android, I would say. So if you prefer that, then you might prefer this one compared to the MIUI that you get on this Redmi 6 Pro. And in terms of camera, I would say both of them are very close to each other. Nothing drastic difference. But yeah, we saw in the portrait mode definitely that this Zenfone Max Pro did slightly better, which was surprising. And again, as this one has the Snapdragon 636 SoC, this one also supports dual VoLTE and the dual simultaneous 4G support, which is actually missing on the Redmi 6 Pro because it's using that old Snapdragon 625 SoC. So definitely I would say, again, the pricing is also the same. If the pricing of this Redmi 6 Pro would have been lower, for example, if it would have started at 9,000 or something, you could have considered this one. But again, the base variant of both these devices are starting at the price point of 11,000. So if I have to pick one winner, definitely I would say the Asus Zenfone Max Pro makes more sense. Anyways guys, that's it for now for this comparison. Again, if you are still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care guys.